ahead and get started with today's class. So I thank y'all for being on here today. Please make sure you share it, do a watch party, all of that, so that more sisters can see what it is that we are doing here with the Sisters of the Mac. So for any of you who are new, my name is Shayar Yashala, or Shanice on Facebook. And I am a part of the Sisters of the Mac through our congregation, Ambassadors of Christ, AOC. All right. Formerly, I'm Israel No Division, but we are now Ambassadors of Christ. All right. So today's conversation, we are talking about battling our insecurities and the spirits of jealousy and envy. Y'all hear the little baby in the background. Hey, Mashi. Okay. So let me just go ahead and get into our open. So my ladies that's on the phone line, if any of y'all want to chime in, or if y'all need my or if y'all have my number, please just shoot me a text or something if you want to chime in, because I want to take it off speakerphone so it doesn't have that like watery weird sound with it. So yeah, I'm gonna put the take the speaker off of y'all. All right, so today's class. So at some point in our lives as women, we have been uncomfortable with ourselves. And I'm not just talking about physically, because yes, as women, that's kind of the first thing that, you know, we look at when we look at things that we're uncomfortable with ourselves, because we got to look in the mirror every day. When we go out into the world, people got to look at us. We got to look at ourselves. So that is definitely an area for us to be uncomfortable with ourselves. And, you know, that can definitely be a big trigger for myself included. But also we can be uncomfortable in other areas, such as our work that we do, our careers, and our different relationships that we have with different people, and our overall purpose in this life. So we can be uncomfortable in many different areas, and this feeling of being uncomfortable in who we are and the things that we're doing is being insecure about certain things. And some people want to say, well, I'm not insecure. Everybody has some type of insecurity. It's not saying that it's a bad thing. It's not saying that you're an overall, you know, terrible person who just lacks so much confidence because you're insecure in a certain area. Everybody has them in different areas and at different levels of intensity. So we all have these things. So let's at least start the conversation by being real about that. Okay. Because that's what this platform is all about. We want to be real with ourselves about the things that we deal with, so that we can call out these different issues and put them to rest, so that we no longer have to carry those burdens, carry those weights on us. Kind of like it reminds me of the Erykah Badu song Bag Lady. All the bags she was carrying, all that baggage. So we want to be able to take this baggage off of ourselves, and our insecurities can definitely be baggage on us, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. So today we're going to talk about insecurities. So what does it mean to be insecure? Because somebody may be like, well, I'm not insecure. Well, let's see. All right. So to be insecure is to not be confident or assured, uncertain, anxious, not firm or set, feeling unsafe. So if you can look over your whole life and say that you've never felt that way at any point in time about anything, I need to meet you, and I need you to teach me how to be that, because I definitely have mine. Okay. So we all feel this, men, women. It's not just a women thing. Everybody does. It's just about the way we express and the way that we let those things affect us. So everybody has insecurities. All right. So with these insecurities that everybody has, certain spirits can creep in on us. And two spirits that I want to call out today are the spirits of jealousy and envy. Because when we're not feeling sure about ourselves and we're looking at everybody else, these two things can creep in on us. And they are nasty, they ugly, and wicked. And when I say wicked, I'm not just being all extra like, oh, wicked, 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 all, you know, hocus pocusy. But wicked just means anything that's against the Most High God. Okay, so these two spirits can come into us when we're feeling insecure about ourselves, because we're looking at others and the feelings that it brings to us. So let's go into what jealousy and envy actually are, because I actually thought they were the same thing, kind of. I don't know, because I've never taken the time to really dive in and understand what they were. But looking through social media and encountering different women, I thought that this was definitely a topic that we needed to touch on, because so many of us deal with this. And if we are able to identify, you know, these different feelings of jealousy, envy, and insecurities in ourselves, we can be better overall individuals for ourselves, for our families, you know, for the people around us. Okay, so envy is, because I thought these were the same, but they're actually different because they attack you in different ways, but they're basically the same spiritual family. But envy is discontent, basically being dissatisfied or resentful about something, a longing that is aroused by someone else's possessions or qualities. So wanting what somebody else has, that's what envy is. Synonyms of this word are covetousness, spite, grudge, hostility, enmity. We heard that word enmity with Eve and the serpent, how there would be enmity between those two. So that's what envy is. And for me overall, it kind of makes me think of, if I had to sum, you know, envy down into one word, basically being ungrateful, you know, being ungrateful for the things that you have because you want what somebody else has rather than cherishing the things that you have. But we'll go a little bit deeper into that. So the word jealousy. But with envy, kind of when we were doing the promotions for the class, I was saying that there's a thin line between admiration and envy, because we can look at other people like, you know what, I like what she's doing. You know, I'm inspired. Let me get on my stuff. That's admiration. That's positive. But it can turn into a negative when it's, okay, I see what she's doing. I'm mad I ain't doing that myself. I'm feeling some type of way. She ain't really doing her thing. She really don't deserve that. Then that's when that admiration turns into envy. So it's a very, very thin line that you have to walk when looking at other people. So yeah, it's a thin line between admiration and envy. Now, jealousy. Now, jealousy is defined as a zealous vigilance, the action or state of keeping careful watch or for possible danger or difficulties, being overprotective, fiercely protective, vigilant of one's own rights and possessions. All right. So being overprotective. So synonyms of jealous is suspicion, distrust, possessiveness, and dominating. None of those things sound very positive, might I say. So, you know, if I had to sum those up, basically being insecure, being angry, and being fearful. So that's another negative spirit that we don't want to have within ourselves, and negative thoughts, negative feelings. So when I say spirit, it's not, you know, just being extra. It's just the thoughts and feelings that we allow to come into ourselves, different spirits. And with jealousy, it's a thin line between discernment and jealousy, because the last lesson we did talking about wisdom and discernment, you know, we were saying that to have discernment is to use good judgment, being careful about the things you do, what you do, how you say things, and the people that you interact with. So, you know, having discernment is a good thing, but when it comes to a suspicion and always waiting for something bad to happen, or, you know, something as simple as, you know, a new sister comes into your congregation, comes into your job. You know, discernment is, okay, let me see what she about. Let me give her a chance. But jealousy is, who she thinks she is? What she thinks she about to do? She coming in to do what? Oh, she not about to take my position. So there's a thin line between discernment and dealing with people and having jealousy towards others, because you're worried about someone taking something from you. Okay, so envy is wanting what others have, and jealousy is being worried that something or someone will take what you have. Okay, so these two spirits are in the same family. They just attack you differently, like I said. All right, so what relationships can be negatively impacted by jealousy and envy stemming from insecurity? Because overall, that's what it is. You're not sure about yourself, your abilities, the things that you're doing. So you're looking at others and feeling some type of way. All right, so let's look at the relationship between parents and their children. It's kind of weird to think that somebody might feel jealousy or envy towards their children, but we see this all the time. We see mother-daughter rivalries all the time. I've been, you know, catching little clips of the one girl, Black China, and her mother having different arguments. I can't even figure out what it's about, so I don't even care to watch anymore. But mother-daughter rivalries happen all the time for different reasons. Two news stories that I saw while going through this lesson of jealousy and envy when it comes to children, where a mother thinks that the father loves the child more than her. Now, between a Black woman and a white woman, because we just want to keep it 100, the white woman who lived in Ukraine, she killed her infant child because she felt that her husband loved the child more than her. So he went out to take the trash out, and while he was taking the trash out, she harmed the child and killed the child. Now, they blame that on her having some type of brain malfunction and things like that. But she was envious, jealous of that child, the love that the father had for that child. Now, on the flip side, we have a young lady who I was reading about in Pennsylvania, a young Black girl. She killed her child because she was jealous, thinking that her child's father, her boyfriend, whatever their relationship was messing around with other women. So she would abuse the children and send him videos and texts and tell him, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that to your children, because she let the spirit of jealousy come over her, and she harmed the children. She didn't kill the daughter, but the son ended up dying because of the things that she did to him. So jealousy and envy can definitely play out in a relationship between parents and children. Let's go to the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 4. The book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 4. Let me pull that up. Yeah, that just threw me all off, having to even think about, the things that those women did, because that's such a negative spirit. But the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 4 reads, "And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonishing of the Lord." So, people always read the honor your mother and father for children, but also us as parents, we shouldn't, do wrong to our children. We shouldn't provoke them to anger, because the Most High looks on the afflicted. So if us as parents are being, unrighteous and evil towards our children, the Most High is going to protect that child, and, harm is going to come your way through the Most High for doing harm to your children. So it definitely, it's a two-way street with that. So, that's my child. I can treat them how I want. I was taking a bus just yesterday, and a mother was being so rude and so mean to the child. I couldn't do nothing but sit there and pray, because a woman who did try to intervene, they almost got into an argument and a fight. So I'm like, let me just sit my butt right here, and I'm gonna just pray for this baby, because I'm fighting on a whole different level. So yeah, we have to be mindful of that energy that we put towards our children as well, because that seeps into them, and then they go to school and they start bullying on kids because they are weak at home and they're getting misused and talked to wrong, and then they go home, they go to school and mistreat other children, because hurt people. So it's a whole cycle. We got to pay attention to these things. Envy and jealousy within a relationship with a husband and a wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend. We don't deal with boyfriends and girlfriends on this side of this truth, but in a relationship between a man and a woman can be envious that her husband is hanging out with his homies. They go to the sports lounge every week, and they have their drinks and watch the game and things like that. And a woman who is jealous or envious of that attention and that time that he's spending with his friends, or start an argument before he leaves, while he's out sending him text messages talking about when you coming home, and starting up stuff while he's there when he can't even enjoy himself and just relax. So that's one way that a woman can have jealousy with her husband. Of course, the age old dealing with other women. We're gonna have a full conversation when we talk about men and dealing with other women. We're gonna have that conversation, not today, but when we touch it, we're gonna touch it, because a lot of sisters who talk that polygyny and all that talk, they don't actually live it, so they're just talking off of theory and things like that. But when we address it, we're gonna really address it. But women being jealous or envious of their husband and other women, whether it be looking at posts online and things like that, or actually dealing with them. So that's another area. And another one that I kind of thought of that was kind of crazy was women being jealous, or let me see, envy, being envious of a male's dominance, because in the world, women, we have the power, we run the world, we could say, do whatever we want, but in the man has no power. But in this truth, according to the Most High, following order, we lose that power and the man gains that power back. So women can be envious of his position, being the leader, being the head, and being allowed to be the leader of the ship, because they're so used to running things. So being envious of their husband in that aspect, leading to them not following their leadership, fighting against them, being discrediting their ability to lead. I've seen so many women talk about, you can't follow a man if he don't know how to lead X, Y, and Z, trying to discredit him because you're envious of his ability and his position within the Most High to be a leader. So so that's something that we got to watch for in these different relationships. The book of, let's go to the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. I think this is my favorite book. We probably go to it the most in our classes, but I like book. I need wisdom. I like wisdom. But the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 36, verse 24 reads, "He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest." So a lot of sisters want to go to, oh, be his pillar of rest, be his pillar of rest, but really pay attention to that possession part. So being watchful of that spirit of envy, because, when it comes to jealousy, a synonym of jealousy is being possessive, and we don't have possession over the man and what he does and how he moves. We are his possession. So being watchful of that within that relationship. Now, sisterhood, this relationship now, because these classes are for women by women, as y'all know, we do these bi-weekly Saturdays. You can get the information on our website, imisrael12.com, about our classes. These classes are for us, by us. So, we definitely got to address how envy and jealousy comes into relationships between women, which is probably the most probably annoying aspect to deal with, but it's something that definitely needs to be addressed, and addressed righteously, without the wagging the finger, because I definitely try to come with the spirit of understanding when it comes to these things. But we don't have to keep it real. Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 12. 2 Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 12 and 13 read, "For we dare not make ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but by the measuring themselves by themselves, and comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise." So basically, we shouldn't compare ourselves to others around us. That's the gist of what it's saying right here. We shouldn't compare ourselves within ourselves, because if I'm looking at you as my sister, I'm not comparing myself to you. I'm trying to build me up. I'm trying to build you up so that we can come up. So not comparing ourselves to one another. Verse 13. But we will not boast of things without our measure, but according to the measure of the rule which God hath distributed to us, a measure to reach even unto us. So we measure ourselves by the standards of the Most High, not by worldly standards of cars, clothes, shoes, things like that. We measure ourselves based off the Most High's standards of what we should be, and judging each other righteously in that. If you see your sister going off according to the word of Most High, going and grab her up and lifting her up, and her doing the same thing for you. So that's the only time we're looking at what each other is doing, but never comparing ourselves to seeing someone better than ourselves, or seeing ourselves as better as somebody else. So yeah, of course, we see each other as competition. We've been taught that from the very, very beginning. I think I first noticed the competition between girls in late elementary school. So yeah, that spirit of competition when it comes to men, jobs, even down to popularity. When we get on social media and things like that, like it's like a big popularity contest that can definitely be negative on the spirits. And for me personally, I try to operate I'm in competition with myself, nobody else. Like I'm not looking at her or her to measure where I'm at and what I'm doing. Like we was talking about being uncomfortable in different areas. Like I was uncomfortable with my walk and where I was teaching for a little while, because I wasn't doing as much as I should have been, is what I came to find out. Going on social media, irritated, looking at certain people and the things they were saying, the things that people would do. and that uncomfortableness, it was an insecurity in myself, because I had to figure out, okay, I'm not doing enough, so I'm trying to one up myself. I'm in competition with me. So for the last year and a half, we've been doing classes just on a call in, but this year I said, you know what, it's a new phase. I got to step up into my walk. I got to step up into my work. We're gonna go live and be on the phone call so we can try to reach more people. And I've had to, we went from cycling out with 4 or 5 sisters and maybe doing a class doing a class maybe once every 2 months or something like that, because I had a rotation work, to now I have to consistently step up every 2 weeks, being, basically the main teacher. My little sister Jure stepped up like 2 weeks ago, did a great class. So definitely appreciative of that. Gave me a little break. But, being uncomfortable because I'm in competition with myself. I'm not looking at the next sister who's doing this or that and saying, oh, okay, I'm about to one up that. That's not the spirit that we're supposed to have with one another. And this competitiveness that comes between sisters, it kind of goes into bullying when it comes to the backbiting, the things that we say, the things that we do to one another, talking down with one another, sabotaging the things that others are doing. It comes down to bullying, kind of like in middle school and elementary school. But this is real life. This is real world. We are supposed to be adults. We need to be operating in that way. So yeah, bullying, because I've talked to sisters who like, yeah, I feel bullied by women around me, women in the world, by how they treat me, how they talk to me, how they, how they're standoffish with me. And, that can definitely be hurtful. I had my time of being or feeling bullied early in high school. So I know that feeling, and I had to go through certain things to overcome it, because I had things to lose. I had to maintain my cool, maintain my behavior, so that I didn't lose out on my opportunities of all the things that I was doing by, falling into fights and things like that, because it came down to people having jealousy or envy because I didn't get into the mix of the bullying and the crazy stuff that other people got into. So for my sisters that feel this way, that feel bullied, especially my younger girls or daughters that are listening in on this conversation, because they go to high school, they go to middle school, they deal with these things head on every single day in a way that us adult women may not deal with them. I want you to know that when people are attacking you like that, it's because they feel intimidated by you in some certain way. And your humility is not allowing you to see why they're intimidated by you. You just doing you. You're just being yourself. You walking your walk, doing your thing, and it makes somebody else uncomfortable because they're insecure with themselves. So rather than dealing with it with themselves, they rather attack someone else. They rather attack another person who's doing what they want to be doing, rather than attacking that spirit within themselves and getting right with the things that they're doing and trying to accomplish. So know that you intimidate those people more than you really realize. But that don't mean move and be all nasty and mean like, yep, I know I intimidate you, but have that confidence in yourself and remain humble. So, that's just a word I want to drop to any sisters that might feel that way. And this spirit of competition, we kind of talked about it on our round table, how it goes back into the whole Willie Lynch. Like, there's the controversy about if it's a true letter X, Y, and Z or not. But the things stated are definitely true. We separate ourselves by color, light skin, dark skin, long hair, short hair, curly hair. We do that within ourselves. But at the end of the day, we're all women of color. We all go through the same things. And we always try to find a way to separate ourselves within ourselves, which is not the spirit of being together, of being sisters. Marissa Younger said, dealt with this a lot. Yes, many of us have. And it's okay to speak up about it, because we need to attack that spirit, especially in this truth, being knowledgeable about who the Most High is and what he wants for our lives. We got to address those type of things. And silence is basically condoning those things. So if you see somebody singling people out and being mean and things like that, and just attacking another sister, or somebody coming to you trying to gossip about somebody else, tell them about themselves. Like, oh, you off. You sound a bit jealous. You sound a bit envious. Why are you feeling that way? Call that out, because we can't allow that to attack one another, because it steers people away from the things that they're doing when they're not doing anything wrong. They're just doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. They're trying to do the right things. And because someone is jealous or envious of what that person is doing, they're stumping out their spirit, and that's a negative. So we've talked about what envy and jealousy is. We talked about different relationships that can be affected by it. So let's talk about the qualities of this, how to recognize the spirit of jealousy and envy, because You know, it's easy to try to spot them as somebody else, which is great. We should be able to spot and, you know, understand if someone around us is envious or jealous, and bring in that spirit and, you know, try to help that person if we can, or if it's geared towards us to stay away from that person. But we also got to be able to look at this within ourselves. And going through this lesson, I had to do that. I had to sit back and say, okay, let me check myself. When have I felt envious? When have I felt jealous? Why did I feel that way? And we're going to definitely talk about different ways to do self-checks, but let's look at signs of jealousy and envy. So before we get into that, let's go to the book of, no, I'm gonna hold off on that scripture. But yeah, so let's look at ourselves first, because we want to make sure we don't have any spots or wrinkles on ourselves before we go start pointing fingers like, yep, she jealous, she envious, she insecure. Let's check that within ourselves first. Okay, so someone who is jealous or envious might belittle the success of somebody else. Being a hater. Belittling the success of somebody else because they're insecure about what they have or have not achieved, or their ability to do things. So they speak negatively about what somebody else is doing. And then they invite others to get on the bandwagon of hating and being mean and disrespectful and sabotaging somebody else because of that envious, jealous spirit within them. Because at the end of the day, that person just feels like they're overall not good enough. And like I said, look at yourself in these situations. You got to be real. It hurts to look in the mirror, but we got to look at ourselves and see, when have I done this? And go forward correcting it. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 10 and 11. The book of Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 10 and 11. And they read, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." And that's Christ speaking. So if you doing the things that you got to do, you out here doing charity, you out here studying, you out here living your life the way that you're supposed to, you're being a submissive wife, you're taking care of your children, you're doing all things right according to the Most High, and negative energy is coming your way for those things, expect those things, you know, because that's expected. When you're doing what's good, when you're doing what's right, when you're doing what the Most High wants, negative evil is going to come your way to try to stop you. And if you let those evil, negative spirits and people stop you from walking your path because of what they bring, you're letting them win. So we have to, you know, not be upset. You are blessed when those things come. That means you're doing something right. If they not hating on you, you're not doing something right. Okay? If they not hating on you, you are not doing something right when it comes to this walk in the Most High. Okay? So the second sign, and I got 5 of them for us today. People who are jealous or envious boast about themselves. That's pride and arrogance. We did a whole lesson probably back in April talking about pride. Pride is ugly, and that goes along with this too. But someone who is jealous or envious, they're prideful, they're boastful about themselves. They always want to put themselves up on a pedestal. We know who shall what's the scripture? If you those who humble themselves, if you put yourself on the platter, y'all know what I'm talking about. Somebody put that Matthew up there for me. I'm messing it up, but we'll go for it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Abased. Those people who lift themselves up, they're gonna be the bottom. But somebody who was prideful, boastful, they need to verbally prove themselves. They always want to push their work. They always want to push who they are, their money, their clothes, their house, their job, their social status. They always want to push it into your face because they really don't feel secure about it. But they want to say, well, hey, I did this and I did that and I got this and I got that. Always boasting about themselves, about things that honestly don't matter at the end of the day. It's pride that they're speaking from. The book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, verse 12. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, verse 12 reads, "The beginning of pride is when one departed from God. and his heart is turned away from his maker. So that spirit of pride, boasting about yourself, is the beginning of wickedness, because you're moving away from the Most High, because you're giving yourself credit for the things that you've done rather than thanking the Most High, because he's the reason why you have the things that you have and are able to do the things that you're able to do. So somebody who boasts about themselves, be watchful of that. Be watchful of that in yourself, of boasting about the things that you have, when at the end of the day it's profitless, because we can't take any of this with us. We come into the world with nothing, we leave with nothing. And also with boasting, what people don't realize is you can create that spirit of jealousy and envy in somebody else, because you're boasting about the things that you got and the things that you do, and I. Somebody with a weaker spirit may look at that and be like, well, dang, I'm not doing enough because they doing do. Rather than letting your light just shine and people seeing you and admiring it, you're putting that spirit of envy inside of them, because now they feeling bad about themselves, and now they want what you got. You put that spirit into them. And that's being a stumbling block to your brother or your sister, no different than a woman that's, wearing her cleavage out, and it's true, because I've seen plenty of women with Israel under her name and her boobs out. I get in trouble from time to time about my chest, like my literal chest being out, but like breast, like out, and saying, well, I can wear what I want to wear in tight form fitting dresses. I'm not hurting nobody. I'm still being modest. But that's being a stumbling block to those looking and watching, because you may be okay with it, you might be fine, others might be, but that weak spirited person that sees that in you, that negative spirit, your unmodest attire, you're not so modest attire, you're being a stumbling block to them, causing them to fall. So it's not just about you, it's about how you affect others. So yeah, that boasting can create that spirit of jealousy in somebody else, to a weaker spirit. Anxious to compete. So someone who is insecure, jealous, envious, they're anxious to compete. They always ready to go at it, because they want to prove their superiority. They're overly competitive for no reason at all. Like, hey, we was just driving to the store. Why does it got to be a race to the store? Who gets there first? Or we were bringing canned goods, and you wanted to outdo and bring extra things that we didn't say bring, because that's not what we needed. We said bring canned goods. You want to bring a whole closet of things. That's nice and all, but you're doing too much, because this was a canned good drive, because we can only get canned goods, whatever it might be. I don't know. Just trying to think of something petty. But yeah, being anxious to compete because they take pleasure in humiliating others and being above them. So that goes right along into that pride and boastfulness. It reminded me of that Nike commercial. Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better. I know y'all remember that. I don't know. It's like the 90s. I know somebody remember that with me. But basically that type of spirit. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 24. The book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 17. Proverbs 24 and 17 reads, rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth, because we don't want to see anybody fall. We shouldn't want to see the downfall of anybody else around us, because you might be, because that insecurity is in you, and you looking at that next person, you done made them an enemy in your mind, and you waiting for them to stumble, you waiting for them to fall, well really you're in the wrong. You seeing them as an enemy because you're insecure. So you're waiting for them to fall, and you're taking glory in that, like, ha, yep, she got what she deserved. She got into a car accident, she got what she deserved. Like, that's not the spirit that we're supposed to have for one another, because we're supposed to treat others like we want to be treated. So yeah. Copycatting. I've seen my share of this. If this sister, like we seen that one outfit where sister was wearing like the hooded dress, and it was black with the Hebrew writing on here in the fringes. Every sister wanted to recreate that and try to outdo that. Like, don't copycat, do your own thing, make your own styles, rather than just biting off of somebody else. I've definitely experienced, if I get on the class and I talk about certain topics, or if I make a post, somebody will make a post adjacent to it, speaking negatively about what I spoke about, like copycatting and just being on each other's tail. And, that's not cool either, because imitation can be flattery at some points, but also it just shows the insecurity in that person where we're copying and following after everything you do, and it's not in a positive light. So be watchful of that in ourselves. So if every time somebody is doing, if I decide to, I don't know, get a hot air balloon and fly through my city, and you turn right around and do that same thing, like, why are you copying and following me, doing this? Everything is recycled. People do everything, but you got to be watchful that people who follow behind every single step that you do and repeat everything you do. Any outside problem? 24:17. Okay, she got that scripture. Gossiping. We talked about that last time. Gossiping. The book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 6-8. I like this one on the when it comes to tale bearing. This was definitely a really, really good scripture about tale bearing, because we deal with that. And this is something to be watchful of, because somebody's talking about you, gossiping about you, trying to bring your reputation down. Because they have the spirit of anxiety, aggression. They're unhappy. They want to feel superior to you, so they want to speak down about you, to make themselves look better. They're quick to celebrate your failures and your shortcomings within their gossiping. They want to just basically ruin your reputation. So somebody who gossips about people, they have that insecurity within themselves. So that's why they're doing that to somebody else. The book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verses 6-8 read, "A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calleth for strokes. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of the talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly." So that spirit of gossiping, we have to be watchful of that. Don't gossip to people about other people. If you have the issue with somebody, don't go gossiping, telling her business and, trying to bring her reputation down. And don't let other people gossip to you, because that just shows their character. And if they gossiping about other people to you, you best believe they're going to be talking about you to other people. Believe that. That's why I don't trust those type of people around me. Because you ain't gonna be talking about me, give my little business. Sister Reka said, I had to deal with this in this walk. Yes, particularly in this walk. Particularly, and I understand it. We're coming from the world, we're learning new ways of being, but we got to check it. Like I said, silence is allowing these things to happen. So you got to call people out when they do it. And now there is order in calling people out. You speak to them one-on-one, bring somebody else in, bring it to the congregation. If this person is, constantly struggling with this thing, you're trying to help them. But yeah, be watchful of this. Definitely in this walk, because people just bring those same spirits in, and they don't understand, or they think that it's okay if nobody says anything. So we have to speak up when we see these types of things. So those are the 5 signs. So it was gossiping, being a copycat, anxious to compete, boastful of oneself, and belittling somebody else's success. So there's plenty other signs. I even read a couple of things about, somebody's body language there around you. So definitely be watchful of that. I too just been convicted of this. Of gossiping. Hey, we fall into it. I had to catch myself a few times, like, let me be quiet, because that could definitely go into the lane of gossiping. So, hey, but that, I love your spirit of being able to admit that, and, say that that's something you fell into. And we all have fell into it too. We all have. So let's just be honest and real about that. Okay. And with this whole spirit of envy and jealousy is basically hatred. Because in my notes I was writing, envy and jealousy can easily become hatred, but it actually is hatred. You have hate in your heart for somebody else because you're not secure about yourself. Yeah, and it does kind of stop people from wanting to congregate with one another, especially sisters. So many sisters saying, that they, don't want to deal with other women in this walk being Israelites because of the backbiting and the meanness, the cattiness, the bullying that come from other women in this walk, tearing a spirit down. And that makes me so sad. But I will also say it comes with the territory. If you're somebody that's really about building the sisters up, doing the work, doing charity, trying to do good, trying to walk your walk, you, like I said earlier, you're going to have those types of things come your way, but you can't be weak. This is not for the faint of heart. None of this walk is for the faint of heart. And when dealing with sisters, it's the same. It's the same. So we got to call this type of stuff out and not allow it to happen to others, not allow it to happen to ourselves. Okay, so if somebody's trying to bring that spirit to you, you move that person out of your way and you continue to pull good people towards you. Because definitely in my three and a half years in this walk, I've definitely had many sisters who come and gone, and it's been some messy things, semi-messy things, some things that have rubbed me the wrong way, but I cannot allow that to stop me from doing what I'm supposed to do in my walk. It just gives me the discernment and the wisdom to know, okay, I know what to be watchful for because I've dealt with A, B, and C. So I know when I get good sisters around me. I know when something can go left. I can be watchful of those signs. So we cannot allow those negative spirits that sisters bring, that energy, that insecurity, jealousies, envy, all that. We cannot allow that to taint our spirit. Sister Marissa said, when I was younger, everyone would just stay silent when someone was getting bullied, even the teachers. That's so crazy. Now everyone is grown and still not speaking up. You know what? Just to get to that bullying, because we got parents on here, we got children who are going to school every day that's getting bullied. Teachers sometimes don't know how to step up. I spent a great portion of my career, I just changed career paths, but working in a Boys and Girls Club. We would have meetings upon meetings on trying to figure out how to tackle bullying. And something that I learned from it is, one, kids are afraid to speak up. And I'm going to say this is with adults too, because we're children in our minds, I guess, when it comes to this, of watching sisters bully on and be mean to others. People are scared to speak up because they don't want to become a victim themselves. If they see someone attacking somebody else, or if they're getting bullied, they're scared to go to that person and tell them to stop, or go to somebody above them to intervene. And it's sad. So, some kids who watch these things happen, they don't say anything because they don't want to become a target themselves. They're scared to go to the teachers because they don't want to come out as a snitch, or they don't want it to be found out that they told or said anything. And that could be a whole nother, situation for them in themselves. And then teachers themselves don't always know how to tackle those issues. That's why we have congregations and leaders within them for sisters and brothers to go to whenever there's an issue going on. That's what your elders are there for. Like, hey, this sister is off. I don't technically feel comfortable going to her about it. Can somebody speak to her about that? Or if you do have it in you where you feel comfortable enough to speak up and you say something and she's still not taking heed and those behaviors are still going on, go to your leader. So like, that's what our congregations and our families are here for. To be that protection, because we got to put any negative spirit up out the camp if they are not about being positive. So yes, our children are dealing with these things. And if us as adults are dealing with them, our children are dealing with them too. We got kids out here committing suicide because they're being bullied. Like right now I'm watching 13 Reasons Why. If you have older children and you want a conversation starter to watch, that's something to watch yourself, and then watch with your child to begin those types of conversations of the things that they're dealing with in school. I'm on the third season of 13 Reasons Why. When I tell you I'm clutching my pearls the whole time, because it's like, oh, I know kids are really dealing with this, because I've been in the high schools, I've been in the middle schools and watched these things happen. So we have to speak up as adults to be an example to our children of not allowing craziness to go on around us and to not speak up. Sister Ari, I'm just going to use Sister Ari because I can't pronounce your real name. Yeah, I went through this too. So we got so many people. So everybody who was once a victim of this type of bully type of behavior in this truth, you need to be an activist. You need to be somebody standing up against these types of behaviors. We can't allow these things to happen. We can't. because our children are watching us. People coming in is watching this, and they shouldn't be looking at us saying, oh, they just like the women in the world. They just like the women in church, the same catty BS, and ain't nobody saying nothing. We should be different. Look, we should look different. We should move different. Yeah, I was just looking at Bishop Josiah and his lovely wife last night talking about that on live. So we have to set the example, be the light. We gotta be. One more. Oh yeah, she watched that as well. So yeah, so envy and jealousy and those insecurities, that's hatred for our brothers and sisters. So let's read the book of First John. The book of First John, chapter 4, verse 20. And I think I love this scripture because it definitely puts things in perspective. If you're somebody who has done these things, like, be real with yourself. You know, like, you know what? I done been in the wrong. I've definitely been in the wrong. The book of First John, chapter 4, verse 20 reads, if a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he's seen, how can he love God whom he have not seen? So that's self-explanatory. If you love your brother, that if you got hatred towards your brother, you can't truly love the Most High, because you have never seen the Most High. You've never seen his face. You see the things that he do. So how can you love somebody you haven't seen, but hate somebody that you see every single day, that's flesh and blood that you can touch? So we got to have love towards each other, towards our sisters. So yeah, so envy and jealousy. So it plants unjust seeds of anger, of murder, spiritually, to people's reputation, to them physically. You've seen those shows, BT has it, or TV1 has it, For My Man, where these women, these crimes of passion, where they are doing crazy things for their man, because out of jealousy and, you know, envy and things like that towards other women and different things around them. We see it all the time where they talk about crimes of passion, temporary insanity, where people black out and they do these things and they come out like, oh, I don't remember what I did, because that's that spirit taking over their mind and over their body. So we got to be watchful for this. We got to think about it. Temporary insanity. Oh, I don't remember anything. Sometimes you're like, yeah, you remember what you did, but it's a spirit that comes over people when anger, envy, jealousy comes into them. Okay. And we got to be watchful for that in ourselves and be vigilant of that in others. And something I was thinking about, which was kind of crazy, and it just kind of came to me suddenly as I was writing down my notes. Christ was killed because of envy and jealousy. Because the Pharisees and the elders and all the leaders in the church, they were envious of the things that he was able to do, the way he was able to command the people, the abilities that he had, the influence that he had over the people. They were jealous because of the name that Christ was making, not for himself, but for the Most High. And they plotted to kill him. It was really a whole conspiracy to kill him, because they didn't want to lose their power, their prestige, their money, their position over the people, because this guy named Jesus, you know, we're not going to say it in Hebrew, but Jesus was coming and doing all these different miracles and speaking against the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the elders in the church, because they were not really about this word. So their envy and jealousy of him is what caused them to seek his life. And, you know, just for, you know, biblical reference on that, we're going to skim through Matthew real quick. The book of Matthew, chapter 26. This one, it gets real. For Christ. And if you've never read the whole crucifixion of Christ from beginning to end, how they plotted and how he died and things like that, I urge you to read that from beginning to end. And it starts in chapter 26 of Matthew. When I first read that, coming into the truth, I read it, I heard the stories, you know, before I came into the truth. But when I came in and understood who I am in this word, I broke down in tears to know that they did this, and to understand that the leaders in the church and the Pharisees, Sadducees, the elders, and all of them, those were black men. And they killed the black man because of jealousy and envy. Let that set in. Let that set in. The book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 3 and 4 says, ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. This is Christ speaking. Verse 3, then assembled together the chief priest and the scribes and the elders of the people, unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Capias, and consulted that they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. So it was a plot to kill Christ because of their jealousy. Let's and just to get a full understanding of that, let's skip over to chapter 27, because this is actually when he's getting ready to get killed. Chapter 27, Matthew 27, verses 15 through 18. Now at the feast, the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner whom they would. And they had then a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said, please excuse my names today, y'all. Pilate said unto them, whom will ye that I release unto you, Barabbas or Jesus, which is called Christ? So the governor was saying, which one do y'all want me to release? Y'all want me to release Christ, or y'all want me to release Barabbas from prison? Verse 18, for he knew that for envy they had delivered him, because him as the governor, he was trying to give him a way out, like, hey, who we gonna release? We're gonna release Barabbas, this infamous guy that's locked up in here, or we gonna release this, little known guy, Christ, not little known, but he wasn't a bad guy apparently as Barabbas. Who we gonna release? And because he knew that Christ was on the air because of the envy that the elders in the churches had for him. And if you go along to read this, he was not with this. He had to wash his hands of it because he knew that this was not right. So envy and jealousy killed Christ. Is that a spirit that we want to have within ourselves? If that's something we want to carry around within ourselves, so we got to check that. We got to check that spirit. And also with this spirit of envy and jealousy, this mindset, this way of being, it causes division amongst the people. And at the end of the day, we're supposed to be coming together as one. We're supposed to be coming together as one people, but we're letting our insecurities about who we are, where we are, our stature, our social status, or whatever it might be, come between brother and sisterhood. And that's a problem. So I got here written, like, when a new sister comes into the congregation, it's cool when she was just visiting, when she was just being a visitor, coming every once in a while. But when she made it her home, y'all was cool with her then. But then when she made it, like, okay, I'm gonna be a part of this family, then all of a sudden it's a side eye. It's I don't know about her. She was all right then, but I don't know. Or you stop being as kind and friendly. So we got to be watchful of this. We do. So as we get ready to close out, I want to talk about how do we fight against, being insecure, being envious, being jealous. How do we fight against this? Because we just saw the greatest example of how this goes wrong. So the first thing is, when we're looking at these qualities in somebody else, when we notice, like, okay, I think this person might have, a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of envy in them. We need to prove a friend. We read that in Ecclesiastes 6:6 all the time, prove a friend, prove a friend. But many of us don't know how to do that. So we end up in situations where we're gathered around people who are enemies. Prayer, meditation. Yes. Pray, meditate, be watchful of the things that go on around you. Ask the Most High to give you discernment, and meditate on his word so that his word is always in you and always at the forefront of your mind in every interaction that you have. Correct, Sister Shalom. So proving a friend. So listening, building with people slowly. But honestly, like I said, it's that thin line between discernment and jealousy. So be open, be honest, be real about building with other people, but also, take your time and make sure that you're not, that you're being discreet in what you're sharing with people about yourself, because some people don't always come with the right intentions. So, you might be having a real vulnerable moment and you share something, and because they already have an evil intention that you didn't peep out because you didn't fully prove them, they take that and try to use that to slander you, try to slander your household, try to slander your husband, and things like that. Now, I've experienced those things in this truth. So, it ain't work, but still, they tried it. So, definitely making sure to prove people around you and being and having using discernment when dealing with them. And you know what? Like I said, if they are jealous and envious towards other people, they're going to turn that on you. So you got to be watchful of it. And, you know, a great scripture to go with that is the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 37. Ecclesiasticus 37, verse 10 through 11. All right, so this is talk about a jealous woman, okay, and dealing with the jealous woman. When you feel like, okay, Sirach 6 and 7, yes, 6 and 7. My sis got me, and prove a friend. Sirach 6 and 7. All right, my sis had all that. Make sure I was right. But Ecclesiasticus 37, 10 and 11 says, consult not with one that suspecteth thee. So somebody that's jealous of thee, and hide thy counsel from such as envy thee. So don't try to give counsel and, you know, things like that to somebody who is envious of you, because they're just going to try to turn and flip it. And, you know, don't consult and, you know, try to get consultation from somebody who is jealous of you, because they only want to see your downfall. Verse 11, neither consult with the woman touching her of whom she is jealous, neither with the coward in matters of war, nor with the merchant concerning exchange, nor with the buyer of selling, nor with the envious man of thankfulness, nor with an unmerciful man touching kindness, nor with the slothful for work, nor with the hireling for a year of fishing work, nor with an idle servant of much business. Hearken not unto these in any matter of counsel. So basically, don't counsel or get involved with people who are unqualified in that area or who may cause you harm. So the main portion was that neither consult with the woman touching of whom she is jealous. So if a woman is jealous of another woman, don't try to, you know, give her, don't try to get too much in the middle of that, you know, maybe bringing in an elder to help rectify that situation, because that spirit of jealousy is going to be heavy on her. So, you know, consult with those who are well taught and well versed in those areas. And it goes on to, you know, to other things about a hireling and work and things like that. So qualified individuals to deal with things. And it goes along with, you know, teaching his word and things like that, you know, qualified individuals, not somebody fresh and new into the truth who barely know the back of their hand, you know, trying to tell you how to live your life and walk according to this word, because they just figuring out for themselves. All right, so, you know, that's dealing with, you know, somebody else with that spirit of envy or jealousy. And overall, just staying away from them. If you see that in them, stay away. I got a lot of people who I got love for from a distance. And that's okay, because I got to protect my spirit. I got to protect my surroundings at all times. So what about in ourselves, which is the most important, which is the main focus of what I want us to concentrate on. Being able to fight the spirit of insecurity, jealousy, envy within ourselves. So the first thing is have confidence in yourself. Have confidence in yourself, in your abilities, the things that you're able to do, which just simply means to be comfortable with your own growth. I may not be where I want to be. You may not be where you want to be, but you're going to get there if you do the things necessary. Critique ourselves. Yes, Sister Shalom. Always doing self-check on ourselves. One of my favorite scriptures, Deuteronomy 31:23, when it's talking to Joshua about being strong and of good courage, because he was coming up behind Moses. So he was definitely a young man who was very insecure about stepping into the shoes of such a great man as Moses. He was so unsure about himself, and you know, and the main message he was told from the Most High and from Moses was be strong and of good courage. And we have to have that in this life. Hey, you cannot let negativity get to you. You got to have confidence in yourself, Sister Marissa. You got to. When I'm saying, trust me, you intimidate people more than you realize because of who you are in your spirit. Believe that. So we all got to have confidence in ourselves and be of good courage, meaning courage in things that are righteous and not, you know, worldly things. because we're gonna go into the superficial things. We all got different looks, we all look different ways, whatever it might be. Love who you are. Love, the Most High is the author of beauty. That's in Songs of Solomon. He is the author of beauty. So all of us are beautiful in our own ways. And it's not just a physical thing, because everybody has different talents, different callings, which adds to the beauty of a person. It's not just the outside, it's the spirit that we all have. So also just being grateful for what we have and who we are. Being thankful at all times for the life that we live, because I've seen so many women, especially on social media, talking about, I'm so irritated with my life, I hate my life, and I've seen so many people say that, taking their life overall for granted. And yeah, I'm a music head. If y'all, my Hebrew name is Shayar, which means song, because I love music. So I might make a lot of references to music when we do lessons. But a good music artist that I like is August Alsina. He did a great album called Testimony. I personally like it. One of my old jams. It's a couple years old. But he had a song on there called F My Life. F My Life, being ungrateful about his life, basically complaining, talking about I ain't scared to die, talking all these things. But fast forward to now, 2019, that boy fighting for his life. That life that he was saying, F my life, he's fighting for his life now. Got some type of immune disease that his body breaking down, passing out, losing motion. He can't even walk and talk certain days and things like that, because he was ungrateful for the life that the Most High gave him. And we need to take that as a sign of and learn from that. That boy's talking about F my life, and now he's fighting for that very life that he didn't care about, that he was saying, F it, I ain't scared to die. And just talking to people who say, I'm not scared of nothing, I'm not scared to leave this earth. Well, if you know what happened to you when you leave this earth, if you've never read what happens to you when you die in the book of Second Esdras, that would scare you to death. That should scare you right there, because if you live in this life and you're not doing everything possible, showing charity, showing love towards others, learning, teaching others to come to the Most High, if you're not doing all those things to the best of your ability, to the top of your ability, if you feel comfortable enough with all the things that you're doing, that if you left this earth today, that you won't see none of the negative that comes when you die, then you a cold person. For me, I'm not there yet. I got more stuff to do. So I'm going to cherish my life. And I need all of us to understand that here, to cherish and be grateful for the lives that we have. No, everything is not perfect. Everything is not always going to go how we want. The things that we want in this life, the Most High might say, that is not for you. So that spirit of covetousness, envy, we got to be watchful that the things that we want, the Most High might say, no, that's not for you. I got something else better for you if you just chill, if you just wait, if you do the things that you're supposed to do. I provide for the birds and the trees. What makes you think I'm not going to provide for you? And that's something that was a hard lesson that I had to learn, to where, I'm good now. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm just going to work hard and just grind out, and the Most High going to bless me how he see fit. And I could say he takes care of you, sis. Okay. Sister Shalom said, have a positive outlook. Yes, don't be down. Don't get all negative and sad and walling in your emotions when things are going good, but don't be overly boastful when things are up. Be humble, be mellow. Marissa said, James 1:4. I think I got that coming up. Hold on, let me see. James 1:4. Let me read it. I don't got that one. I got a different one. I'm gonna read that. Sis, pull that scripture out. The book of James, chapter 1, verse 4 reads, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. So being patient, and we're going to be blessed. Sister Annie, I put that scripture up there, Second Esdras chapter 7, the CEB version, if you go on Google, because a lot of Second Esdras stop at verse 70, but it's actually a longer book, and it goes to like 100 and something. So starting at verse 78 of Second Esdras chapter 7, it talks about what happens when we die. Read that. And if that don't make you want to get to work and do the things that you need to do, I don't know what to say. Okay? Because I know it scared me to where, you know what? I got work to do. What I'm doing, I'm not doing enough. because I want to make sure that I've done all that I can to see the positive and end up in that chamber where I'm protected by an angel, rather than to see torment from day in and day out, to be in hell, basically, which the only thing I can imagine is being the worst day of my life happening over and over and over and over, and the lowest emotions that I've ever felt, feeling that over and over and over with no break. That sounds like hell to me. Okay. I don't think it's no fiery little place with a dude with a pitchfork out there. That's something the Christian church taught us. That's up under the ground. That's hotter than lava and all of that. It's not that. I think it's more about the torment that your spirit goes through. So that second Esdras, chapter 7, starting at verse 78, talks about what happens when you die. You can Google that, the CEV version. Some apocryphas have it. Mine doesn't. I got the regular red one, but some of them do. So yeah, be grateful for the life that we have. And a lot of people put a lot of value on money, and I get it. Having money makes life easier, but I'm not gonna always have a bag of money in the bank and things like that. I might have to grind out a hustle. When it come in, it go right back out, because we're constantly doing things for the people, taking care of life and just living and things like that. But so many people put such a great value on money and having success in this world, and not realizing that money does not make you happy. Money does not make you happy. It makes some things easier, can bring you some relief, but overall, it's not the key to happiness. Actually, the love of money is the root of evil, because people would do anything to obtain a dollar, thinking that it's going to make them happy. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 24. This is one of my favorite scriptures coming into the truth too. The book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 24 reads, "And again, I say unto you, this is Christ speaking, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God." It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, a big old camel going through the eye of a needle, than for a rich man to get into heaven, because people will do anything for a dollar. We look at celebrities and we think, oh, they got it all. They got all the money, they got all the cars, the clothes, and all of that. But they can't take none of that with them when they leave this earth. Nothing. And a lot of them are not truly happy, because they have all this money, but they have some inside things that they haven't fixed. Those insecurities and problems that they got within themselves that they haven't fixed. And money is not solving that problem. Let's go to the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 6. Verse 6, 1 Timothy. Let me find it, y'all. I gotta get my scroll game together. Wait. Oh, this is bad. 1 Timothy, there we go. Chapter 6, verses 6 through 11 read, "But goodliness with contentment is great gain." Being content with ourselves, being confident in ourselves, being comfortable with ourselves. "But goodliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. But thou, O man of God, flee these things, and follow after righteousness, goodliness, faith, love, patience, and meekness. Those are the things that we need to value. Those are the things that we need to value, rather than riches. Because I was just looking at a video of the music artist T-Pain. He was talking about how people were on him about how he doesn't do enough publicly for charities and things like that. He was saying, the things that I don't do to be seen. I don't do those things to be seen. And he went on to speak about how he spent $2.2 million on his brother's hospital bills. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know the backstory, but he spent $2.2 million on his brother's hospital bills. His brothers got out the hospital. He was doing better, walking around on crutches. Got home one day, his legs gave out. He hit his head on the side of the counter and died right there. Money could not save him in that moment. He said if money could bring happiness and save everybody and bring people back to life and keep people here, everybody would be alive. I'd be broke, but everybody be alive. So seeking after money is not the all to happiness. Like I said, yes, it makes us, happy and makes things, it brings some happiness and it brings some comfortability, but we have to find happiness and comfort in the things that money cannot buy, because there's a big difference between being wealthy and being rich. Being wealthy is having a lot of money and, material things. Like we said, the things that you can't take off this earth. But being rich, it sounds better, right? Being rich is having possessions of things that money can't buy. Family. Having your peace. Having the Most High protect you and cover you. Having the ability to help others by giving them a word, like by giving them a good word of the Most High. Those are the things that would make you rich. That's what makes us rich. All right, and I ain't saying nothing wrong with some dollars and cents. I'm just saying value what's really important. All right, because I go to work every day. It's like I bills to pay and whatnot. All right. So how can we fight this spirit within ourselves? If we sit here like, okay, yeah, you know what? I might got a couple things I need to work on. I done felt some envy. I done felt some jealousy. I'm a little insecure in this place and that place. Something that we can do when we start to feel these things towards other people and things like that. And I thought was a genius thing. You got to fight against your own spirit and certain things. Celebrate somebody else's wins. Rather than always being about, oh, I did this and I did that, celebrate somebody else's win. When you see a sister walking down the street, tell her, like, girl, your hair look good today. Like, you know what? I heard you got that promotion. I'm proud of you. You deserve that. Fight that spirit within yourself. Let a sister know, you're like, you know what? I see your works. I see you out here teaching classes. I see you out here passing out flyers. You always talking to this person and that person. I see that in you. Congratulate them. And then that fights that spirit inside of you. Even if you like, yeah, I see her doing that. I like that. I wish I was. Tell them, like, I see you, sis. I see you. And that fights that spirit inside of you to where you don't cross that line between admiration into envy. You stay into that admiration lane and you get encouraged. And then you build a sister. Her, she's like, well, thank you. You want to help me do? Well, I can show you how I did. Then you have gained a friend. And then you filling in your puzzle, as Sister Bethany was saying, filling your own puzzle. All right, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So fight that spirit within yourself by showing love to others. I know when I'm at some of my downest moments, when I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling, my head is going this way, my heart is this way, my emotions is low. But I always find myself lifted up because somebody ends up calling me, needing a positive word or needing some help with something like that. And then by the time I'm done helping them, I'm like, well, dang, I feel better. My weight lifted off. And that's kind of how we got to operate. Combat the negative spirits that come into us with something positive. You feeling down, you feeling out, you feeling emotional, you feeling sad, whatever it might be. Call another, she's like, hey, sis, how you doing? And you might just call somebody, and I did it just last week. And they was going through something. And my encouraging words, because I was going through mine, lifted her up. And I said, all right, now pay it forward. Pay it forward to somebody else. And that's what we got to do. Fight those negative experiences on ourselves with something, with positive thoughts, with positive actions. All right. Let's go to, and we closing out right here, y'all. We closing out. Sirach 26, Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 26, 5 and 6. And it says, Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verses 5 and 6 says, there be three things that my heart feareth, and the fourth I was sore afraid. So it's three things that this man fears. But there's one thing he was sore afraid. He was like, yeah, I'm real scared of this fourth thing. So let's read along and see what it says. The slander of a city, the gathering together of an unruly multitude, because they're going to riot. They about to tear something up. A false accusation, tearing somebody else's reputation down, and Jezebel, because that's what Jezebel did. A false accusation had nothing to do with her being, promiscuous or anything like that. She was doing too much, creating false accusations. All these things are worse than death. So all three of those things is worse than death. All right. Verse 6. But a grief of heart, this is the fourth thing, but a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, and a scourge of the tongue which communicateth with all. So a woman that's jealous of another woman, that's why these conversations is good between us. A woman that's jealous of another woman, she is going to tear that woman down. She's going to rip her to shreds and bring other people on to tear her down and for it to continue and cycle on. And we have to call that type of stuff out. We can allow ourselves to fall into it, and we can't let others do it and get away with that. Okay, so a woman is jealous over another woman, whether it be her looks, abilities, relationship, whatever it might be. A woman that's jealous over another woman, that's trouble. So we got to watch that, because we're supposed to be building up sisterhood. We're not supposed to be looking like the women in the world that's, putting each other on blast and doing each other wrong, fighting out in the middle of the streets and things like that. We're supposed to be different on this side. So fighting jealousy and envy between sisters, that's the worst of all, because it can get ugly. Because us women, we can get real diabolical up here. It can get real bad because we creative. And if we put that creative energy towards something negative, it's not going to be good. Okay, so we got to watch that. All right. So as we close out, doing a self-check, got to do a self-exam on these things, okay? So self-check on the spirit, because sometimes the things that we, find ourselves disliking about somebody else, like, oh, I don't like her because she, or I don't like this about her. Sometimes we don't like those things because we have those same attributes within ourselves. It's hard to look in the mirror. It's hard to tell myself when I'm being prideful, when I'm being selfish and things like that. That's hard for me to do within myself. So if I see something like that in somebody else, it's really irritating, because it's like I'm looking in the mirror times two. Okay, so sometimes, those negative feelings and things that we don't like about somebody else is things that we need to check about ourselves. So check that. When you find yourself calling yourself not liking somebody because of whatever reasons, check to make sure that the mote is out of your eye. Make sure that it's not within you. And that's why it's so bothersome to you, because those same things are inside of you. Sister Natasha, I'm gonna read that scripture. Jude. I gotta do a little more scavenging, because I don't go to the book of Jude often. I can't think of a time that I've went into that book. Can't be like the Christians, y'all. Not exploring all the books. So Jude. It's only one chapter. Didn't know that. I should have definitely read this. It's only one chapter. The book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 4 reads, For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this congregation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our God into lasciviousness, and denying the only Lord God and our Lord Yahushua Christ. So evil people coming in and contaminating the rest of people around them, because they crept in unaware and nobody called it out. Yeah. All right. So back to this self-examination. Thank you, Sister Natasha. You told me your Hebrew name at the summit too. I forgot. I'm sorry. So when it comes to jealousy and envy, and we closing out right here, y'all, you got to ask yourself, why am I unhappy with myself? Why am I feeling this insecurity? Why am I jealous of this person or envious? And we got to be real specific. We got to be real with ourselves and be specific about why we feel these things. And this is a conversation you having with yourself, because I've done it and I was like, oh, I don't like that. But just like we do with our emotions, we got to call these things out very specifically of what we are feeling and why we are feeling, so that we can get to the root of it. So ask yourself, why am I unhappy? Why am I feeling jealous? Why am I feeling envious? And don't be embarrassed within yourself. Like, no, I don't want to say I'm jealous. I don't want to say I'm envious. That's pride. So ask yourself and be real specific about why you feel these things. All right. So when it comes to jealousy, remember, jealousy is a fear of someone taking what you have. Remember, jealousy is fearing that someone is going to take what you have. All right. So in jealousy, ask yourself this: is this person a real threat to who I am or my position? Like, can she really, or he really, can they really take me out of my position? Are they really bothering me and what I'm doing? If I'm really on a straight and narrow doing the things I got to do, this person coming in doing what they're doing, is it really bothering me? Why am I so uncomfortable by this person coming in and coming around? Why am I so uncomfortable with that? Like, is it really bothering me if I'm on my P's and Q's, if I'm on top of my game? And if I'm not on top of my game, what do I need to level up on? All right. So, and that was the next question. What can I do to better myself so that I don't feel this way? What can I do to better myself so I can feel this way? Is this righteous? Am I being selfish? Because jealousy can come along with being selfish. So these are questions that we have to ask ourselves, doing self-checks and really reflect on it. It might take hours, it might take days, whatever it might be, to get to the root of why we feel these different emotions. So that's jealousy. Those are a couple self-check questions to ask ourselves. And as you go along these exercises with yourself, it's kind of like therapy for real, y'all. You know, you may come up with more and really dig deep into yourself. And before you know it, when you get to the root of it, the root is probably within yourself and really not somebody else. And your anger is removed from that person, because we're just reflecting it off. Now, envy, some self-check questions to ask ourselves. Remember, envy is wanting what somebody else has, coveting what somebody else has. That's within those, 10 commandments. We know it's 316 of them, but within those 10 specified ones, coveting. So wanting what somebody else has, envy. So asking yourself, will I really be happy if I get this? Like, will I really be happy? Or is something else causing me to feel like I need this? Where is this feeling really coming from? Like, am I really going to be happy if I get that car and that dog in the house? Probably not, if my real issue is I'm not happy with my job and I can't get the house that I really want. Whatever it might be, it might be just, let me think of something. If I get this new car, Susie got this new car, I want that same dang on car. But if you get that car, is you really gonna be happy? Probably not, if the reason why you don't like the car that you have, the issue that you have with your car, is because you got to drive that car to the job that you really don't like. Figure out what the root causes of these issues are within yourself. Will you be let into the kingdom with why you acting like that? Is this behavior that's gonna get me into the kingdom? Beautiful question. The real issue is within ourselves, of why that's why it comes down to being insecure within ourselves. And then with envy, the last little self-check question I have is, am I trying to keep up with the Joneses, the Johnsons, whoever it might be? Am I trying to keep up with other people, or am I trying to keep up with the Most High? Is that why I want these things? Because I want to impress the people, or am I trying to impress the Most High? So asking ourselves these self-check questions can keep envy and jealousy in check. And after we check over and over and over, the feelings will decrease more and more and more and more and more until it's out of us. Okay, and that's not to say it won't creep up in some other area, but we do this every time it creep up in any area until we silent, until we good, and attack it immediately and attack it hard. All right. So with that being said, I'm at the end of our lesson today. I thank y'all for joining in and being part of this discussion. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to inbox me or comment under here, under the video, and I'll be sure to try to answer them. Let's continue this conversation. But I love y'all, and I thank y'all for being on here, rocking out with us. Once again, I'm Shayar Yasha'Allah, Shanice Hill of the Sisters of the Mac, through the Ambassadors of Christ, formerly known as I'm Israel Family. I thank y'all for being here. So please share, like, send them to other sisters who might be in need of it. And, let's continue this discussion. And I will see y'all in 2 weeks. I love you. Shalom.